Welcome to Chakras and Shit. I am the playful paladin here with a special guest today, Queen Namaste.
Namaste.
Queen, namaste. Namaste, Queen.
Namaste, Brent. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really stoked to be here and honored that you asked me to come onto your podcast. This is so sweet. So thank you. I'm excited to just see where the conversation goes.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know where it's gonna go.
And this is super cool for me because you're the first person that I haven't met that's a guest on the show. So my first 7 guests I had some history with. It was kind of like a warm call. You're my first cold call.
Very cold call. But that's cool. That's like, let's do it. I'm down.
Sweet. So just a little bit about yourself. I will start by saying that you are, I was drawn to you through my girlfriend, and she pointed me out to the Wild Soul podcast, which is super cool. I'm envious of anyone else who has a podcast because I've just started my podcast and I don't really know what I'm doing. And I think you have 70 episodes up from what I saw.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I do. And you know what? It's really funny because I don't know what I'm doing either. So, and I'm 70 in, so I don't think that feeling really ever goes away. But that's awesome. Bless Andrea for sharing my podcast with you. Yeah, I'm Shannon. I called myself Queen Namaste now for a couple years, and originally it was my blog's name. But I was like Shannon Peters Fitness before. Then I'm like, I don't want to use my name. Like, what's like an alter ego or something? But basically the name or the reasoning behind Queen Namaste is like, Namaste is, the light of me sees the light in you. We are one, we are the same. But with the title Queen, it's kind of like, I'm the ruler. I'm a boss ass bee, I take no shit. So it's kind of like a nice mesh of a yin yang in between, like be the king and queen of your own life, but also know that you are not better than anyone else and we're all equal. So that was the name behind that. And through that, it's just kind of grown, into a podcast. I teach yoga, and then most recently, kind of the last year and a half, after awakening even more, I started doing Akashic record readings and hosting full moon circles and connecting with community that way. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you for taking the reins there. And I had a few things that I had ready for you. And one was you also do tarot readings and you're starting with Reiki. Am I correct about that?
Oh yeah. Actually right before the quarantine lockdown happened, right in March, I believe like a week before lockdown, I did my Reiki level 1. So that was awesome. And then everyone's like, what? The world's ending. So I haven't gone back for my level 2 or master's, but that's something that I am definitely going to do. It just hasn't been the time yet, but yes, diving into that realm as well.
Whoa. The world's ending?
People thought the world was ending. The world's beginning. It's
okay.
You're funny.
I just started my podcast and then the world ends. Like, come on, mate.
Come on. Oh my gosh. Oh, speaking of podcasts and the world, my roommate actually mentioned this to me. Have you heard of the Midnight Gospel on Netflix?
Tell me about it. No.
Okay, so I don't know whose podcast it is, but basically it's a show, and this guy's got a space cast, which is like a podcast, and he's on some world, and he goes into other universes and interviews people from different planets. But basically the whole the vocal of the show is actually real podcast conversations that this guy has had. And it's pretty wild. So go watch it. It's on Netflix, The Midnight Gospel. It's like, it's super dope.
So he has past recorded podcasts, but then he pretends it from outer space, and then he goes and talks to himself through his podcast through outer space, and then has it as another type of podcast, and now it's a documentary?
It's like a cartoon. They put it as a cartoon.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
That's so creative.
It is cool, right?
Oh, let's do that. We should, let's do this again. Let's just stop this recording. Let's go get into spaceships. I'm going to go like underwater and bring a recording underwater. And where would you go? Pleiades? You're from Pleiades, right?
I don't even know where I'm from. I feel like I'm from so many places. But yeah, we can go there. Or I can go to Orion. For some reason, it feels like yeah, the Orion belt. That's like apparently where all the negative energy of Earth came from. But we could go there. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah. And Orion, he's got the big shield and the arrow and the belt, and he's
Yeah,
up
and the
there with the
belt.
4 stars. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Sweet.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, where do you want to start? You have so many interesting
Oh my gosh, I'm
stories,
all
and
over it.
I really just want to hear about your spiritual journey and how you went from Shannon Peters to Queen Namaste. Walk us through a journey, maybe some of the key points, some of the craziness, and
Hmm. Key points, craziness. Okay, cool. Yeah, so for those of your listeners that don't have no idea who I am, I grew up in British Columbia, Port Moody more
woo!
specifically. Yeah, Port Moody. And yeah, I had a really great childhood, super awesome, really blessed. Drank quite a bit, as you know, teenagers do, and how the world is, and you know how
I
it's
know.
normalized. Yeah. And then discovered that I kind of had a problem, but didn't really do too much about it. But I was working at a pub at the time, so you know that culture, it's like, oh, you stay after for drinks and then you just get wasted anyways. So I was getting pretty sick of that idea of just being in a pub my whole life. And then one of the girls that I worked with, she's like, hey, I also work at Lululemon and they're hiring, like, do you want me to get you an interview? And this is back in 2012. If you can believe this, I had never ever bought a piece of Lululemon clothing. Like, I didn't even go in there. I'm like, Lululemon, I don't know anything about Lululemon. Never owned a single pair of pants or anything, but I'm like, sure, why not? So I go they have a group interview, did the group interview, got hired, and then kind of that's basically how everything started changing. When you work at Lululemon, they give you community classes for free, so you can go to any class and just explore.
Brilliant.
So I got into yoga through Lululemon, and fell in love with yoga, and then decided to do my teacher training in 2015. So that was kind of started the beginning of my journey and the transformation. And after that, quit the pub, did Lululemon and then yoga full time, and then just yoga, and then always kind of continued on the yoga journey. And it was in 2018 that I was still doing this, but I kind of felt like I was almost living a lie. Because I'd be like this healthy person and people would know me at the studio, be like, oh yeah, you're like so healthy and fit and blah, blah, blah. But then on the weekend I would party and binge and just like, eat everything bad.
Yeah.
So it was like this polarity of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? So there was this, it was September 9th, 2018, where I was like, enough is enough. I woke up super hungover, and it was just horrible, and it was affecting my relationships. And I was like, enough is enough. Stop drinking. Just stop drinking. Try it for 30 days and see what happens. And then from there, my life basically transformed. That's when I got the idea to start a podcast. And then the idea of eating meat just was so disgusting to me. We had like chicken in the fridge, like uncooked chicken. And it almost made me barf just looking at it. I'm like, oh my God, like gross. So then I like stopped eating meat and then started drinking celery juice every day. And then went to Bali in 2019 to do more teacher training. Yeah, that was life changing in and of itself. If anyone's ever been to Bali, they will know it's like a different vibration there. And people say it's like the island of the gods. Have you ever been to Bali?
I have been to Bali. Yeah.
That's
I'd love to, if you want to talk Bali, I'm happy to talk Bali.
Let's talk Bali. Yeah.
I want to pinpoint on one thing you said there and just get a sense, because that's a big deal. So you've been sober for 2 years, over 2 years.
Yeah. I just celebrated my second birthday this month.
Congratulations. That's amazing. And somehow in there, the numbers lined up as 9/9/18.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there significance there with those three?
Oh, no. No. What is 9/9? And then what is that? What does that equal up to if you break it
equals
down?
18.
Oh, it does?
So 2018, 9/9.
9. Yeah. So that's 18 and then 18. But then 18 and 18 together are what?
36.
6, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is 9 because 3 and 6 add to 9. So, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, completion.
There
9
you
is the
go.
completion number. And September is a completion month too. So
Wow.
yeah, I don't know. It's like my higher self just knew it was a powerful day I had no idea. I was just like, hey, it's today. It feels like today. Didn't even know the date. So yeah,
Brilliant.
cool. Mm-hmm.
And in German, 9 means no. So you said no that day to alcohol,
No,
right?
no. That's awesome.
Oh, good for you. You know, I'm envious. I've gone as many as 6 weeks in my entire adult life, alcohol free, and it was thanks to some coaching I did through Be More You. I finished the More course in January, and my coach, we started this coaching session around, it was around belonging. And by the end of the half hour, I had committed to going alcohol free until the end of March. So I went from mid-February to end of March, and I, I'm trying to get that courage and find that why and that reason to go on a longer journey myself. And just started recently with another go at it. So
Oh,
um,
amazing.
yeah. Any other than celery juice? Any tips or tricks? Like,
What do you mean? You don't like the celery juice? Have you tried celery juice?
well, I'm not giving up meat. I can tell you that right now. Uh,
Yeah.
but
No, I
any
don't know how that I had no intention of giving up meat either. I was like, I love meat. It's so good. And then, yeah. Well, also my cat passed away. And then I just put the
oh,
two together. Like I was so emotional about the cat, like almost like you okay, do you need some help? And I was like, wow, I'm such a hypocrite. I'm so emotional about a cat but not like a pig. It was just a weird like whatever. So that also helped. But other than celery juice, having somebody that you can talk to, honestly. Yeah, one of my good friends who's actually inspired me to do it, I always shout her out, she's so awesome. Karen Peterson. She's blissed out yoga and fitness on Instagram, but she'll be celebrating her 6th year next month in October. And she was one of the first people I actually interviewed for my podcast. So her episode is like number 4. You should listen to it if you guys are interested. Her story is wild.
okay.
Absolutely wild. Yeah. So she's gone through the ringer. And I was like, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. So she helped me for the first 30 days. I like checked in with her every day, like a sponsor. So she's in the program. I don't work the program. I'm not saying anything bad about the program or anything. It's just I feel people can get sober in a lot of different ways and what works for them. So it might work for you, but for me, it was just having someone to check in with, and just to like love yourself. Remember what you felt like on it versus now. Like I just love waking up hangover free.
Yeah. Good for you.
That was yeah.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I find myself surrounded by people that are in the program these
Oh,
days. And it's interesting how we got drawn together. And for the program, I think we're talking about AA and
yeah.
the 12 steps.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just stopping drinking.
Oh
You
yeah.
go, when you think about the Course of Miracles and uh, some of the work you do from your past self and forgiveness, and taking a real deep look at all aspects of your life, not just the alcoholism, but the choices, the decisions, the points along the way where things might have gone differently for you had you not been
Yeah.
enjoying the celery juice, if you will.
And you know what? Like never say never. Like because Karen's always like, yo, dude, work the steps. And there's something in me that I'm like, I don't want to work the steps. Like I might end up doing it. Who knows? So for now, I haven't yet. But yeah, there's
What a
always
great
work to be done.
and what a great reason to stay sober. Stay sober. If I can stay sober, then the AA people don't have a reason to draw me in. I don't have to do the steps if I stay sober.
True. But I love personal growth and development, so like it would probably be a great opportunity for that as well. So yeah, whatever. Whatever. And it's interesting too because the reason why I didn't like give it up for so long, or I had like a week or two and then I'd fall back into it, but I always thought like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I don't know anybody who's sober, or like I'm going to be all alone.
Yeah.
But once you make that decision, the universe just gives you beautiful people that are on the same journey as you. So don't be afraid to be alone, because you're not ever.
Beautiful. Love that. So that was a good start, and and that led you to Bali. So I have roots in Bali myself.
Oh,
I
tell me about it.
I
Tell
went
me
to
about it.
Bali twice last year,
Oh, did you?
and even bought a villa in south of Ubud. You don't buy a villa,
You rent for like 25 years. Yeah.
right? So I would
Okay.
be third title on a villa, which means I have current control of it. But Ubud was where I ended up at the beginning of my spiritual journey. So this podcast doesn't happen, and I'm not where I'm at today if it wasn't for touching down in Denpasar Airport in Bali at the beginning of a life-changing journey for me, where I left everything behind. So I sold my company, I sold my truck, I I just took off. I lived out of a 7-liter backpack for 13 and a half months.
Wow.
Yeah. And it began in Bali and Ubud specifically. So um, it, it's a very special place. There's a lot of incredible energy there. I've had breakthroughs and energy clearings and adventures, and even scuba dived and hiked to the top of a volcano and blah, 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 blah. But I want to hear your journey. What was it about Bali and the island of the gods that, that kept you on the right path?
uh, well, I always wanted to go, and I always wanted to do another teacher training, but I wanted to go away. So it just happened to work out that one of my favorite teachers, his name's Ian Finn,
Okay.
Blissology. He's local, Vancouver. I actually discovered him because of Lululemon. He's a worldwide ambassador for Lululemon. So he's been doing yoga for a long time, and he was doing teacher training. He does one every year in Bali. And I said, okay, I got to do it. So went to Bali in May of last year, and the training was in Canggu. So we
Okay.
were in Canggu for quite a bit, like over a month. And then the second month is when I kind of traveled on my own a little bit. And I also went to Ubud, but I wish I went to more places. That's why I got to go back. That's probably why you went
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
twice. Yeah, I was like, oh
True.
my gosh, there's so much to see.
Yeah.
So much to see. Yeah, life-changing stuff
Mm-hmm.
there too. And what was really awesome is I spent about 5 days in Ubud, maybe a week. I'm not sure. But did you go to the pyramids of Chi?
I didn't. I
What?
didn't. I haven't yet. No.
Oh, I got to go do that. It was wild. So this couple, I can't remember where they're from. I think Australia, but they got like the download to build pyramids to help heal people, specifically in Bali, in the jungle there. And they have 2 pyramids, and they do sound healings in the pyramids. And then they have like this beautiful kitchen area too, and they feed everybody, and there's like water. And anyways, it was my 28th birthday in Bali, and
Great.
it was a new moon, and they had a new moon ceremony. So we did that for my birthday, and it was just wild. Have you done sound baths or healing much?
No, tell me about that. No.
Oh, yeah. So sound, I'm not a sound expert, but I've interviewed a sound expert for my podcast if you want to listen to that too. But basically, sound has the power to heal ourselves because we're all vibrating at certain frequencies. So and the structure of the pyramid is apparently the way that pyramids are, just helps amplify the healing and the energy. So anyways, if you've ever been to a sound bath, you just lie there and you hear a whole bunch of different sounds. Like some people play like gongs or the didgeridoo or lots of crazy, amazing instruments. And sometimes you stay in your body and sometimes you leave. So it's so awesome. So when I went into the pyramids of Chi, we did like a fire little ritual and like prayed to the north, south, east, and west, and like set some intentions, and then went into this pyramid and laid down. And I think it was like 45 minutes of just sound. I don't know. So I was laying in there, and then about like maybe 3 or 4 minutes in, I was laying there and I heard so clearly, it was so trippy to be thinking about it. It was a voice, a kind voice that said, "You're going to get everything you ever wanted."
Aww.
Yeah. And then I don't remember anything. And then the next thing I know, they play some sound and it like takes me out of trance or wherever I was. And it was over. So I was like, whoa, okay, whatever I needed to be wherever I was. Some people, yeah, stay conscious. Some people like drift into a sleep, which obviously that's what I did. But yeah, it was lovely. And since then I've done quite a few sound baths and partnered with a woman who does sound healing. And most of the time I do stay present now, but yeah, that was like my first experience with it. And it was amazing. So
Wow.
yeah,
Powerful.
yeah, it was great.
How do you feel like you're doing on that statement? Is it everything you always wanted?
um Up until earlier this year, like in March, it was like yep, yep, yep. And then obviously whatever happened in the world, and I'm sure everybody had their own ways of dealing with things and their own up and down, ebb and flow with it all. The beginning of it for me was quite intense, and like, because I feel like I'm very empathic, and I was almost feeling like the weight of the world and everyone's emotions, and it was, yeah, challenging for me, but it's been such a blessing. And
Yeah.
now it's like, yeah, now we're like up on going back up now, and it's, yeah, it's been a really great year to reflect and heal and go inward. For sure, a lot of healing was done in the last like 4 or 5 months.
Good for
Personally.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
This healing journey that we're all on, I've talked about it on almost every podcast so far. It just feels like we're on a healing journey,
Mm-hmm.
and for you, is it healing your past? Is it blocks for your future? Like, what are you finding you're unlocking? What are you finding you're healing?
Mm. Definitely a theme I believe that this year has brought up is surrender,
Mm-hmm.
or what, like letting go of control, boundaries, and stepping into my power. That's what I've been dealing with a lot, because there was a lot of I guess self-doubt
Sure.
in myself. Yeah. And this year has really put it right into my face, and it's like, yo, are you gonna step up or not? Basically. So it's been really great, just learning about that, and about with boundaries. I don't really have any. It's like, what is that? What are boundaries? So the past 5 months been learning about those for sure, and what that looks like just with people in my life and relationship, and basically self-love, learning to journey through that arena. Like, what does that look like? Boundaries equals self-love, in my opinion, because it's almost like that analogy where it's like you have to put on the mask for yourself first before you can put it on your kid.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like that, learning how to put myself first and learning how to speak my truth and say what actually is on my mind and be authentic. Because if you aren't speaking your authentic truth, then a whole bunch of shit happens. So it's better just to do it, which I've been learning.
Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
do you think the next step is towards your ultimate truth?
Oh gosh, deep question. My next step into my ultimate truth. I guess, yeah, just taking every day. It's almost kind of like being sober as well. It's like, just take the next 24 hours. Just think about the next 24
Mm.
hours. And especially because we were just talking about it earlier, the social dilemma or whatever,
Yeah.
and being on social media and, looking at everyone doing everything, and you're comparing yourself and all this stuff, and you're not really present in the moment. And that's why I love podcasts so much, is like you can have a connection with somebody and just talk, and with no other distractions, and like have an actual conversation, which not a lot of people have been doing as of lately, before, the corona happened and we were like forced to like talk and stuff, you know what I mean? Instead of just like go, 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 go.
Yeah.
So I feel like the next step for me is to just continue to stay present in the moment with purpose. And I feel like that's almost happening, because I'll be present and then I'll be like, what the hell did I do yesterday? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I like had a conversation with this person, but it was like so deep that like that's all I was focused on and thinking of, you know? My mind wasn't elsewhere thinking of the past or the future, because when you do that, or it's like, yeah, when you're anxious or when you're sad, it's like you're actually not here.
Yeah,
And that's life is happening here right now.
it is.
Right now. Now. So I'm working to stay more present and not, I don't know, we'll see. Like the world is changing so fast. Like I just made a post about this yesterday or the day before. I don't know. A couple of days ago.
In the past.
In the past, yeah. That yeah, life is changing so quickly, and like you could feel one way last week and this week you feel totally different, which I do. So
Good for you.
If that makes any sense.
I
It's
totally
just kind of rambled.
No, it makes total sense. And we record these podcasts. So if you want to go back to the past, you can see this conversation if you want, and you can learn from it if you want. But none of that matters if you don't put whatever it is we learned today into who we are tomorrow or at that moment, and grow a little bit each day, but be present in that day. It's what Eckhart Tolle tells us to do. It's we don't know what the future holds. Like Dan and I talk about this on episode 2. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. You're not. You have a better chance of being guaranteed tomorrow because you're sober, or because we've made choices to be a little bit more safe or smart, but it's not guaranteed. You might wake up tomorrow. You might not. So why would you want to waste today?
Right.
Right.
I mean, it's cliche and easier said than done, but I think putting that into practice really is what I'm trying to focus on and work towards.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
When you find yourself in the future or in the past, do you breathe to get yourself back to the present moment? Do you listen to your higher voice? What's either your trick or your way of getting present again?
Way of getting present again. Yeah. Breath work for sure. And just coming back to it. But sometimes even just feeling it. So I like to think that there's sometimes like a reason why you keep going back to a certain thought or past, or even thinking about the future. What did I read the other day? It was like, sorry, I'm just going to think about it. Breathe, yes.
I'll help you. I've got some mindful juice.
You have mindful juice?
Mindful juice. There you
go. Oh.
It's this Zen mindful stuff. I think my sister gave that to me for Christmas, and then she gave me this thing.
Oh, amazing.
A diffuser.
Oh, from Sage, the best place. Yeah. Thank you.
Be present, breathe.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel that it's good to, and what I've learned without going back to drinking and going back to the way that drinking made me feel, like I thought I was escaping something, right? Or like I didn't want to feel a certain way, so I would drink, or I didn't want to talk about it, so I would drink. So if there's a reason you're going back to past thoughts, sometimes it's good to like just sit with it and feel it all. Like last week wasn't the best week for me, to be honest, and I cried a lot. And when we don't release emotions and we just shove it down, that's where problems start to arise. That's when our bodies become in dis-ease. That's when we get like the rashes, or we get stuff going wrong with our physical bodies, because emotions are energy in motion, and we should allow them to be with us. So it's like, if you're sad, feel it. Like we're so used to numbing ourselves, or society, we want us to just be numb and not feel anything, but there's so much learning in feeling that shit. So last week I kind of did that, not gonna lie. I had like a little bit of a pity party and was like kind of a mope. But I think the key is to not stay there for months or years, which is, and that's where your practices come in. Like that's when your breathing techniques come in. That's when you meditate. That's when you you try and, do something that makes you feel good. Like I had so many baths last weekend too. So it's like this beautiful dance in a way, but if that makes any sense. Yeah. I just, what's really helped me, especially during this whole year, has been Wim Hof breathing.
Wim Hof.
Yeah. Do you know him?
I no, I'm asking Wim Hof. You got me by surprise there. Tell me about that.
Yeah. He's the Ice Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So he put, for those that don't know who Wim Hof is, he's like this crazy guy. What's his nationality? I think he lives in Sweden, somewhere up there, cold area. And he does the cold water therapy and breath work. And apparently he's done some Guinness Book of Records. They've like put viruses in him, and his body's been able to fight off the virus just like with the breath. So he put out like a 10-minute breathing exercise on YouTube and his Instagram. And I've been doing that every morning to start my day, and it's been really, really helpful, especially during quarantine.
In the freezer or?
No.
Oh.
It's just you can do it wherever. If you want to do it in the freezer, you can do it in the freezer. Usually you do that breath work and then you go into the freezer.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So you're preparing your body for an extreme temperature change, or are you cleansing your cells? What's the theory there?
The theory is when your body is deprived of oxygen, apparently the red blood cells go to work killing anything not great in your body.
Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't looked into it all that much, but I've just been doing it, and I'm like, I feel great. It feels good. And he says that he hasn't been sick in years. So, I mean, I've been feeling great this whole year. So.
Right.
Yeah, beautiful. It's super fun. You should try it.
I will. Well, in Bali, I went to what's the name of it? The walk. It doesn't matter. There's a spa in Ubud, and they have the hot and the cold dip pools.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, with all the pornographic monkeys on the wall. It's super weird. It's amazing. The name will come to me, but it's so I loved it. I didn't know the science behind. I'm not a science guy. I'm just not. I just jump 2 feet in, and there's got to be reasons for it. That's just what I do. Uh-huh. So this spa was hot or warm water. You sit and chill. Then you get into the cold dip underwater with a bald head. It's kind of fun because the steam comes off your head. You jump in the cold water for 2 minutes. You go back in the hot water for a couple of minutes. You go back in the cold water for 2 minutes. You go back in the hot water for 2 minutes. It's invigorating. It's incredible. And I wouldn't have thought I'd be able to handle those temperatures, but your body just does. And if stuff's healing, bonus, right?
Bonus, yeah.
But I love the idea. I'm sort of envious of people who do this with a plan, that have it thought out, that know the reasons behind it. So you're saying every morning, 10 minutes, and it's changing your day. It's making you more present. That sounds like an easy thing to implement.
Yeah, right when I wake up, basically. Yeah. That's as soon. I'm like, as if I don't do it when I wake up, then I just won't do it. So, yeah, thank God for social media and the internet, because it's super easy. I just go, okay, and then I could totally do it by myself, but there's something about listening to his voice and helping. We do it together. Like when he's like, breathe in, breathe out. I'm like, okay, yeah. Okay. So yeah, he's great. It's 10 minutes long, and basically you do 30 breaths of breathing in, breathing out, and then on the last breath you breathe everything out, and then you hold your breath for 1 minute.
Okay.
And then you breathe in, hold for 15 seconds, and then you breathe out. So that's 1 round. So you do that 3 times, and each time you can hold it a little bit longer each time. So I think the longest I've held my breath was 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which is like, whoa! I never thought I could do that. I'm like, I can't hold my breath, but practice. It's amazing what your body can do. Yeah. And you're like, whoa, I'm a freaking superhero. I can hold my breath for 2 minutes. Whoa. Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Have you ever free dived?
No. And you were talking about diving in Bali too. I have never scuba dived. I'm just so scared of it. It's something that I need to not be scared. I know my parents grew up doing it too. And there's something about breathing underwater freaks me the frick out, but maybe this will help me.
Oh, totally. Because in next time you go to Bali, if it calls you, Ahmed in the northeast east corner of Bali. There's an incredible shipwreck called the Liberty, the
Okay.
USS Liberty. You can snorkel it. It's right off the beach. It's this huge shipwreck right off the beach. But Ahmed is sort of famous for free diving. So you go up there, you learn to snorkel, or you learn to scuba dive, breathing underwater, or free dive, hold your breath underwater. And if you're already at the 2.5 minute mark, to think that you could dive down without anything other than a mask and a snorkel and long fins and see an incredible shipwreck and wrasses and maybe sharks and turtles and fish, I highly suggest next time you're in Bali.
Ooh, you
Yeah.
know what? That'd be a perfect goal to work up towards, honestly, like holding your breath for like 4 minutes. You could do a lot in 4 minutes underwater.
No doubt.
Wow. Good idea.
Love it.
Good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I
I feel like I want to ask you questions.
What?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
What happened? Like, tell me about your awakening process. How did that begin for you?
I was not present in my life. I was making choices every day that I wasn't proud of. I had a little family. I was in the Okanagan. I had a job that didn't interest me at all, and I was just starting to read books about self-development and growth. And it came to me at noon on a Monday. I think it was December 12th, 2017. I was in my office. I owned a small boutique financial company. I was staring at my computer screen every day going, what am I doing? And I finished a book called Unfuck Yourself. And I decided to unfuck myself, because the last paragraph of that book, and I actually have it here somewhere, but the last paragraph of that book basically says, what the fuck are you waiting for? You jackass. Like, you know what you need to do. Like, stop telling yourself stories, stop putting blocks in your way, and do it. And I kind of just laughed at myself and went, okay. So I sent a text out to my then girlfriend and her small family, and basically said, I'm removing the games from my phone because they were very distracting. I'm getting back into CrossFit. I was 213 pounds, which to this day is the heaviest I've ever been. And I'm changing my diet. I'm quitting. Oh yeah. And I gave her the key to the alcohol cabinet, which was a wine cellar for us. So we lived in the Okanagan, and I had 250 to 300 bottles of wine in this cellar that I'd built, or paid someone to build, underneath the stairs. And it was way too easy to watch sports on a Tuesday night, sit by myself downstairs, and next thing you know, 2 bottles of wine are gone. And I'm like, what am I doing? I've set up myself for success with this beautiful life, but I don't feel present in it. And I just, that moment, everything changed, and the relationship didn't last 2 more months. I went into the Pursuit of Excellence through Excellence Seminars International, which I highly recommend for anyone. Have you ever done it? Pursuit of Excellence? No. A lot of people know Landmark is kind of the famous one, but Pursuit of Excellence, which is now, there's Excellence Seminars International, and there's Be More You, who have the same curriculum and the same language. That program blew me away, and led by the incredible Kimberly Nonis at the front of the room. I got in a room with 40 people, and it was just like, are you ready to kickstart your life? Let's go. And I was off to the races. I'm like, this is what I needed. And it was thanks to my sister and a gentleman named Jeff Brown, who I had a conversation with, and he convinced me to take the plunge. That led me on a journey of just growing into the best version of myself. And every day it's a practice. Every day I work a little harder at it. And with it was some travel, there's been some travel, there's been some adventures, there's been some spiritual practices. There's been a lot of things I've done over the last 2.5 years, I guess, to get myself present in my own life in a way that's authentic and the fullest version of myself. And, the name Playful Paladin came from one of those courses, and that's my stand in life. And
That's so awesome.
Happy to say every day just gets a little bit better. So
that's so awesome, because my name, Queen Namaste, also came from a program.
Okay. Yeah.
Landmark. It came from Landmark.
There you go. Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah. Personal development, man. I feel like you either growing or you're withering away. So, I mean, life, we're here to learn. It's like Earth School. We're here to learn. So I love all that idea of just like, learning something new and applying it to your life and making your life and yourself better than you were the day before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're always in choice, right? You have a choice to learn from the day before. You have a choice to go back to the bottle. You have a choice to be present. You have a choice to go backwards. You have a choice. You have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But the beauty of it is, in one moment, it takes one single moment. It might be the end of a book. It might be that last hangover. It might be seeing an octopus underwater. Whatever it is, you have a choice to make that one count. And if your life direction's going whatever direction it's going, you can make it go like that. Or I guess it's mirrored. I don't know. But there. I'm trying to point
Up,
there.
yeah.
Up.
Yeah.
And it's never too late. There's some people that in my close circle that are in a dark place right now, and COVID has brought out some real dark energy for a lot of people, including myself. I've had some things come up in the last 6 months that I've been scared to look at, or I've ran from for 26 years, if not longer. And I've chosen to sit with it and chosen to let those emotions come out, like you say, and sit with that and understand it and decipher it. And, for me, I needed accountability. I needed coaching. Coaching has been huge for me. And having someone there as a mirror looking at your shit, right?
Yeah.
I had 2 things come up this past week from people that are close to me. They hit me with things I don't necessarily agree with, but it's their version. They view something in me and they said, look, you should look at this. And I've chosen not to look at those 2 things yet. And I might, it might just be their context window, and onwards I go.
Right.
But I have a choice to learn from that or not. Right. And so does everyone else. So it's not late. It's not too late.
Never too late.
I don't care how old you are. I don't care how sick you are. I don't care what mistakes you've made. I don't care how bad things are going. I don't care how much of a victim you are. No one gives a shit. We're all connected energy, and at any point you make a choice. You can make a choice and say it changes now.
Now.
Or now.
For now.
For now.
It's all now. The power of now. Yeah, I read that book. Eckhart Tolle, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, not The Power of Now. A New Earth.
A New Earth.
A New Earth during the first couple weeks of quarantine. And I was like, okay, I got this. Because he does talk about, it's about finding your purpose in life, but again, like humans, we complicate things so much. And it's like, really, your purpose is to be in the moment right now.
Yeah.
And it's like that, our purpose, like for instance, us communicating, we're in our purpose right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple people are watching and they go, holy shit, it's time for me to unfuck myself. Yeah. And that book, what I love about that book, I've read it as well. And that was for me, that was one of the books that really got me. That was mind blowing. Thank you, Ellie, if you're listening. Ellie recommended that one to me when I was up in Vernon, and just the idea of ego and your pain body and understanding. I thought that was the one book I've ever read where every single paragraph, I read it again. I read it and I'm like, I got to reread that. Like it's because it's so simple.
So simple. Yeah.
It's so simple. Just be in the moment. And everything else goes away. I mean, if you're in the moment, you get hit by a car. Okay, well, it's going to hurt, but right.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your takeaways from that book?
Unfuck Yourself. I haven't read that one.
A New Earth.
Oh.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, A New Earth. Yeah. He talks about the pain body as well, and the ego, and how it separates us. But basically, yeah, my biggest takeaway was to, again, not put so much pressure on ourselves, because I feel like, especially kind of like the millennial generation too, it's like, oh, what's my purpose? Or I have to know what I want to be when I grow up, when I'm like 18. Like, for example, I was not really living in my truth when I was graduating high school, because everyone else was like, okay, yeah, we're going to college and stuff. And that never really was. Like, I was never the person or the kid that knew what they wanted to be when they grew up. Like, my nephews, they know. They're like, yeah, I want to be a dentist. Yep, I want to be a hockey player. Yep, I want to be a veterinarian. And like, I never was like that. I'm like, I don't know. and then I had to go to university because it was expected of me, and my parents had saved some money for me to go for the first couple years. And it's like, they have this pressure on you to be like, what do you want to do? And what I really got out of that book was just like, not put so much pressure on your purpose. And again, like I said, like being in the moment, is your purpose? And some people in the spiritual community call it dharma as well. Like, what is your dharma? And I feel like we put, again, I don't want to use the word pressure, but I guess almost like we rank things by the impact that we have. Like, say it's like, oh, I want to be a lawyer because, like, you know, that's really prestigious and you make a lot of money. Whereas like some people, they're cool and happy with just being a janitor, and maybe that is their dharma and their life purpose, and to like touch people in that arena in a different way, you know? So I feel like that book really gave me just like the, okay, let go of the pressure. Like, who are you trying to impress? At the end of the day, it is your life. Your life. And as long as you are happy, who gives a shit about what anyone else thinks? And I had to learn that the hard way with going to school and graduating and getting a degree in criminology because I wanted to impress my parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no one in the family has ever gotten a degree, so I'm going to do it. And then I got it, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, sorry, like, it's like, so yeah, I have a degree that I don't use. I mean, maybe I'll use it one day, who knows? But the lesson that I took from that is live in your truth and don't put so much pressure on yourself to find like a purpose of what you're going to do for the world, because just being here counts.
Yeah.
You're here. Oh, thanks. But you know, like, you can touch people in so many ways other than what you just do for money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that how the Wild Soul podcast came about?
Yeah, because I love podcasts, and I'm sure you do too. Just like found so much useful information on podcasting instead of listening to the radio or listening to songs. Because I mean, we can go deep in the rabbit hole maybe another time on that, but I feel like a lot of the songs and Hollywood and all that stuff, they're actually like, they put spells on the population, and like the words and stuff that we say have power behind them. And so anyways, so I was like, I don't want to listen to music or the mainstream music anyways. So I found myself listening to podcasts and learning, because again, you know, personal development, and I like learning. Sure. And then, yeah, quit drinking. And I'm like, I know a lot of cool people and I want to learn more. So like, let's just start interviewing people. And yeah, that's how that came to be. So I'd like to share other people's stories. I don't really like being the center of attention all that much. So this is like kind of weird for me. Okay. I like being the one asking the questions and like learning. So yeah, that's what the Wild Soul podcast is about, interviewing people who dance the beat of their own drum and are just doing like not the regular typical thing that society wants us to do. So
well, if you're friends with Lisa, I know you beat to the sounds of your own drum for sure.
Lisa's awesome. Yeah, actually, the pub that I worked at before I was like, oh my god, I think I might have a problem, but before I worked at Lululemon, I was working with Lisa's sister.
Okay, there you go.
So, yeah, Sarah. So she's awesome. She's great. So that's how I know.
I worked with their mom at a finance company for about 10 years.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Kathy, right?
Kathy. Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's
a great
awesome.
family. They're awesome.
It's a good little family.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So one more thing. One of the things I wanted to bring up with you is the Akashic records. Mm-hmm. So you do readings around Akashic records. I sort of know what they are, but I'd love you. You're the expert, so I'd love you to explain exactly what an Akashic record is, and how do we determine what ours are, and how do we learn about our souls.
Yeah, well, basically, like, the Akashic records are like an energetic record of your soul's journey through like space and time. And some people like to think of it as like kind of like a book, like a record, and anybody has access to it, and you can discover like about yourself, like past, present, sometimes future. I don't like to say future because we do have free will. So, I mean, your future could look it could look however you want it to look like. So you could see multiple different pathways. But basically it's like info that's stored in your soul. And we all have access to it. Anybody can do it. So it's almost like a soul remembering. It's memory, but it's not in your mind or your brain. It's in your soul. And I remember I've watched your podcast about talking about like past lives and stuff like that. Yeah, and you say you believe in past lives?
I do. I didn't. I do now. Yeah.
You do what?
Ayahuasca helped.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask you
No.
about that. You don't want to talk about it yet?
Oh, I'm
Because
happy to. Yeah, yeah.
oh
But
yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, because I was like, oh, there's something I wanted to ask him about. That was it. Yeah, so basically, the Akashic Records is I help people gain access into their own soul. But what's really cool about it, and I think the world is kind of, we're all starting to wake up to our own degree. We all have the ability to tap into our soul. So you can access it. And how you do that is by staying neutral, staying objective, and by staying aware. So don't be like, you don't want to be skewed to one sort of outcome, or like basically you ask questions to the records, and the records are kept by loved ones and guides and the keepers, and you just want to be open and not have any sort of like outcome. It's like you can ask about your past life or about the relationship you have with someone, and you just want to be an open book with that, because sometimes we can think certain ways about certain people. So it's a little bit of like a dance, and I'm still learning about it every day too.
okay.
But you just want to ask the right questions and don't be tied to outcome.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're asking your soul?
Yeah, well, yeah, I would say you could say that. It's basically the Akashic Records are like the internet. And you can, ask something on Google, like, okay, like how do I, change a tire? And it can give you a million different answers, right? So it's like you tuning into basically, what your soul is telling you.
Is that connected to human design?
I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, human design is like your birth, the birth minute you were born, something to do with your sign, and then that tells you
You,
what type of person you're going to be on Earth. And for me, I'm a manifester. When I
oh,
did
you're
my
a
human design,
manifester.
I'm a
Nice.
manifester.
I'm a projector.
Project. Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, so I know that human design is like tied to a whole bunch of stuff like astrology and like
Yeah.
the cabal, or like I don't know what else it's tied to, a whole bunch of things, Chinese
Okay.
something, I don't know. But no, I mean, like the Akashic Records I even spoke about in like the Bible and stuff like that as well. But a mutual friend, you might know her, she's friends with your friend, Diana. I originally started to learn about it through Diana, and then we've just kind of been exploring that arena together, and she helped me because Diana is really intuitive, and I've come to learn that I am too. So I'm like, this seems right. So I'm still always learning. It's a newer thing for me for sure. It was like it happened this year in 2020. So, and I was really nervous about offering the readings because I was like, oh, who am I, blah, 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 to do this, right? And then lockdown happened, and then I couldn't teach yoga, and then I couldn't have my other like 9-to-5 job. So I was like, oh, well, this is the universe pushing me to do it. So
Perfect. So
it's been really great.
and then people can go to your website to book an appointment with you, or what's the best way to get a hold of you for? Yeah.
Website, there's a calendar on my website, or they can just go. I'm mostly on the gram. I'm not really on Facebook. So
Okay.
queen.namaste on Instagram. And what's really cool about the Akashic Records is it's basically you come to me with some questions, like either whatever you want to know, like, oh, how many past lives have I had, or like what is the significance of this person in my life, or like what is my purpose. A lot of people actually ask that question. So
Sure.
so we say a prayer, and then it's almost like I'm just a channel into their records and into source, whatever people want to call it. And it's like sometimes I don't even remember what I say, because I'm just like a channel to source, and just help them with their questions and give them some answers or guidance. And then most of the time people are like, I knew that. And it's like,
Yeah.
we do, but it's like we have to find, this is the human condition. It's like we always want to like seek outside ourselves when we have all the answers. And that's why I say it's like it's stored in our soul, like because we actually know. we know. And there's this quote, it's really great. It's like, if God wanted to hide, a good place would be a human, because we're always looking outside ourselves.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, and the questions, I'd actually printed them out. So it's not as, it doesn't necessarily need to be as deep as life purpose. Some of the
No.
things you say, what are my next steps? What can I do to help unlock my creativity? If you're thinking about moving, why do I feel like moving? What holds me where I am? What possibilities are opening up for me? What am I scared of? So it sounds like it can be any question you want.
Any
really.
question. Yeah. Just normally not like yes or no questions.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. And if people want to go to my gram or my website, mostly the gram, actually, yeah, it'd be a really great little segue, because October is coming up and it's my favorite month. I love fall. Today's the first day of fall, by the way, if y'all didn't know, equinox. So, yeah, after I got home from Bali last year. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. After we got home from Bali last year, I started holding circles, because I wanted to create a community that I felt in Bali over here. And so I teamed up with a beautiful human named Jennifer Lang, and we did some full moon circles out in a field, and we had fire and like danced under the moon. It was so great. So we are doing a October series for October. So it's going to be a month-long journey, basically a journey back to self, and for you trusting yourself and connecting with like-minded people to raise the vibe, because these times are very uncertain. So getting back to certainty within ourselves and being strong. And yeah, it's going to be a Facebook group, month long. And with that, you find community. And then we're going to do full moon Zoom circles.
Okay.
Because there's 2 full moons in October and a new moon also. So it's going to start on the full moon, which is the first, but we're going to do it on the second. So it's going to be Fridays. So every other Friday, it's going to be a ceremony, and there's going to be sound healing in it as well, because Jen is a sound healer. So it's going to be perfect. It's just going to be so much fun. So if you guys want more information on that, that's going to be on my gram. It's on my stories right now, but it'll be a link to buy tickets later today. So yeah.
Brilliant. So in general, the commitment is once a week, be available on Fridays. Is that fair?
Oh yeah. The commitment basically is once every other week, if you like, bare minimum. Yeah.
Okay.
But we're just creating a group we're going to have some prompts like every other day to go journey inward. But yeah, the full moon circles and the new moon circles are on October 2nd, the 16th, and the 30th. So just 3 days.
Oh, awesome. Okay. That might be something Andrea might be interested in as well. So we'll look into that ourselves. And when I do the little write up at the end here, I'll put that in the write up as well. So
thank you.
It's great that people could join. Wonderful. There's an hour. How are you feeling?
Yeah, that went so quick.
Right?
Woo!
Goes fast. What's your average podcast time on your side? What do you normally?
Usually an hour. Yeah. Sometimes it goes like an hour and a half. Sometimes we go really deep, and I'm like, okay, I need to make it 2. Like I've talked for 3 hours one time, and I'm like, okay, I need to cut it up and do 2 episodes. So, but I'd love to have you on the Wild Soul podcast.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. Does that make you nervous?
No, let's do it. I can wear I had a Christmas sweater picked out for this with a little Yeti on it with a gingerbread man.
Perfect.
And I switched to purple. So am I allowed to wear a Christmas sweater on your show?
We can wear whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Sweet.
I don't really film it. I mean, we film it, but I don't put it up on the internet. So you can work whatever you want to wear. Sounds
good. Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be really cool.
Sweet.
I've never been on a podcast before.
Well, now you will. First time for everything.
Awesome. Well, Thanks, Shannon. This was so much fun. I learned a lot, and I thought your vulnerability and just being you authentically is such a gift you're giving to the world. And it's great to meet you. And hopefully our paths will cross again, I'm sure. And do you have anything left to say? I know you're rising the vibration of the earth is kind of your thing. So any last strong messages?
Still, no pressure. No. Well, thank you for allowing me to come onto your platform and just hang out with you. It's so great. Like, I also want to say, you're like getting out of your little ayahuasca thing.
I know.
That's okay. It's okay. That's something you're coming on my podcast for. So, Damn it. What was I just going to say? Oh, it left me. It'll come back in a second. What were we just talking about? Oh, yes. When you were talking on your podcast about someone calling you a light worker.
Mm.
Yeah. And I watched that, and then how your screen actually did get brighter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Anara, it was with Anara, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she said it went lighter. I'm like, what does that mean?
It totally did.
Did it really?
No, yeah, because I rewound it and watched it back, and I'm like, wow, it's so cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, but you are like you were. I just want to acknowledge you, because not a lot of people, maybe not a lot of men in this area that I can see, that I follow so far, are doing something that you're doing, and like quit the freaking corporate, and they're starting something new and starting a podcast, which is a beautiful platform to connect like-minded people, especially during this time too. So I just wanted to honor you and say you're doing great work. And yeah.
Thank
I
you.
feel a lot of people, like if we're talking about past lives, a lot of people incarnated in this time for this reason, because they are light workers, and the world needs more people like you.
And you. I appreciate that. And I only have one wish. When I get incarnated next time, I want to be an otter.
Oh, why do you want to be an otter?
Because they're the most fun. Because every once in a while we see them out here. They're not the full sea otters, but just the way they raft, the way they swim, the way they're resourceful. They crack shells on their chest with rocks and use tools while sunbathing. Like, otters are just the coolest thing ever. And they represent BC and the West Coast too. So
yeah, BC is a beautiful. Did you were you born here?
I was born in Port Moody.
Oh, what? Eagle Ridge?
Yeah, I think the hospital. Yeah, I don't think Eagle Ridge was built yet when I was born. I'm not old.
Shit. Port Moody was like the boonies.
Yeah. So I've had a long journey to come back to Port Moody. I've only been back for about 7 months. It's kind of incredible. This is my home again. Wow. But it's probably my home for life now. So
yeah, the West Coast is beautiful, and yeah, I'm very grateful to be here. And any last words, I just, especially during this time, is to just take care of yourself. And something that I'm learning with the boundaries aspect is, put yourself first. It doesn't matter if you think that it's selfish, because it's not. Because if your cup is not full, then you can't fill up others' cups, so take care of yourself first.
Given the week I've had, thank you. That's a great message. I'm going to sit on that one. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, this was episode 8 of Chakras and Shit. And
dope.
If anyone's hearing this, but it's spelt with an S, chakras and shit with a apostrophe on the I. And I just found out this week that I'm now on Amazon, Google, and iHeartRadio, as well as Apple and Spotify, and then uploaded to the YouTube channel. So
wow, that's awesome. That means? You're gonna have to show me how to get on what you are on.
I don't know what do you mean? I'm not on anything.
So what did you just say? Amazon and
Amazon just started. I'm on Buzzsprout. So my podcast goes to Buzzsprout, and then Buzzsprout does all the work. And then they update me and go, by the way, you're on Google. By the way, you're on Amazon. By the way, you're on iHeartRadio. It's like, okay, cool.
Sick. Yeah, I don't use Buzzsprout, so maybe I should switch it over. I don't know what I'm doing either. Like I literally.
We're
doing it though.
We're new light workers. We're called to just start doing stuff. I don't know.
Yes. That's awesome.
Sweet. So I'll just stop the recording. Thank you, everyone. And then Shannon, you and I'll just have a little debrief. Okay. Sweet. Love you, everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thanks, Queen.